somebody who has sickle cell disease, their hours as women should be between 12 and 16, men 14 upwards. But for a sickler, normal for them is between 8 and 10, and they don't require iron supplements. Okay, you'll be burdening their system if you give them iron. So there are different types. HbA, 2, F, S, the one that you're accustomed to, SS, the one that you're not, one that you're, I beg your pardon?
Could you repeat what you said about men, certain age, women, certain age, and sickle 8 to 10? Could you repeat that statement,
level, Brother David, their hemoglobin level normally is between 14 and 16. So if they're less than 14, they're considered to be anemic. All right, for us as women, it's 12 to 16. Okay, so the abnormal ones are HBS. So when you think of SS disease, you see their eyes are yellow. You can have the HBC, the eyes are not yellow, they look quite normal, but they have a problem there, still have a little pain. And then you have the HBE, these are abnormal. So it is inherited. So you have one person with one parent that can be normal, no trait, while the other has a trait, and with that, you can end up with a child, okay, with the trait or normal, but not necessarily a child who has both. When you see SS, it means that the child has both, that has sickle cell disease. All right, and I'll send this to anybody who wants it. So you have the other type now where both parents have the trait, and then you can end up with, there's a 1 in 4 chance that you can give birth to a child that is affected. You can have, every time you get pregnant, you end up with a child with the disease. So there's no guarantee of what the child is going to come with, okay? So just the same way, there's one with the trait, one who has full-blown sickle cell disease, there's more chance, a 50% chance that you're going to have a child with the disease, okay? For one that has nothing wrong, no trait at all, and there's one who has the anemia, then there's a chance that all your children will come with the trait, okay? It's nothing that you can catch. So when the sickle hemoglobin, that's HbS, gives up its oxygen to the tissues, then it can stick together, form long rods. Long rods form inside the red blood cell, become rigid, inflexible, sickle-shaped, and it's unable to squeeze through those blood vessels. So there's less oxygen going to the tissues. So they will have more pain, right? Their blood cells have a shorter lifespan. Remember, I showed you how long it should last. Theirs last normally 20 days. And so they have this chronic state of anemia, right? So with that, you'll find that these people, you notice how this lady looks, always fatigued, always tired, right? The normal blood cells die within they're replaced within 120 days, but a sickler is 10 to 20. So there are symptoms, pain, severe pain. We call it painful crises, and this usually affects the bones, all right? Because the sickle-shaped red blood cells block blood vessels, which flow into tiny blood vessels to your chest, your abdomen, and your joints. So they have more pain to those joints, okay? So there's not enough circulation going, and with that, they can have swelling here. That's a baby's hands. So this thing doesn't only affect adults, it's really bad in children, okay? There's delayed growth, they can have vision problems, right? So they will look smaller than an average child. You notice that they look very slim, okay? Their eyes can have this yellowish tinge, their skin can have the yellowish tinge, okay? And they can have problems seeing. So the complications, they can have strokes quite easily, because when you think of a blood vessel being blocked, right? then you will have those signs of a stroke, seizures, weakness, numbness to the arms and legs. And when I tell you a stroke, I'm not talking about an old person. I'm talking about a 6-year-old. I'm talking about a 5-year-old. They can get a stroke. And this stroke can cause them to die. They can have, remember I told you that the blood vessels in the chest can also be affected. So they can have bad lung infections. They can have a lot of fever, difficulty breathing. Okay? They can also have what we call pulmonary hypertension. And when you think of pulmonary, you're thinking of what? The lungs. Okay? So they can develop high blood pressure in their lungs. And this complication usually affects adults rather than children. So you have shortness of breath, fatigue, and this can also cause them to die. Organ damage. So it can damage the spleen. Spleen is where blood cells are made. Can damage your liver. Can have blindness. You can have sores. And this is one of the things that really affect them mentally, those sores on their legs. Okay? They can have this constant breakdown of red blood cells that causes a substance called bilirubin to be formed, right? So they have gallstones. So if you have gallstones, you know you're going to have abdominal pain, all right? So with all those complications, it is important that a diagnosis is made quite early, okay? So what is happening now is that there's routine screening being done for babies, blood tests for the children and adults for hemoglobin S. Now, if they are negative, it means that the sickle cell gene is not present. If it's positive, then more tests will be done so as to decide which one, whether it is S, C, or E. Okay? And they're also going to check if there's a low red blood cell count, right? They want to make sure that the child is not anemic. And the treatment is also aimed at avoiding crisis. They have to drink a lot of fluid, drink a lot of water, so as to help that blood flow through the system. And this will help to relieve symptoms and prevent complications. These may include medication to prevent pain, complications. They can also transfuse them, all right? They can also do a bone marrow transplant, and that will help to decrease the amount of sickling that takes place. And antibiotics is given in this case to prevent or treat infections such as pneumonia. So generally, nutrition is important, balanced diet, drinking a lot of water to aid hydration, to prevent sticking of the red blood cells. Skincare, very important to aid in the prevention of ulcers. And you also have to assess for the yellowing of the skin and eyes, and you have to keep your limbs warm. If that mother is pregnant, her antenatal care has to be started quite early so as to pick up complications, because complications may worsen as the pregnancy develops. And you have to know the hemoglobin gene sickle status of your spouse. So young people listening, person who you're planning to marry, know their status, know your status, so you know whether you are likely to have a child with a trait, without a trait, or full-blown sickle cell disease. So, happy Sabbath, my brethren. This is short, and I hope you have learned something. And if you need the information, I'm willing to share. God bless.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you very much, Sister Sylvester, on sickle cell. Thank you. And we want to continue with a special hymn by Brother Davis. Brother Davis, I realize that I've been calling on you all morning. I'm so sorry. But in my heart, I really want to thank you for doing all that.
Okay. Good morning again, brethren.
Good morning.
311. 311 is I would be like Jesus. Earthly pleasures vainly call me, I would be like Jesus. Nothing worldly shall enthrall me, I would be like Jesus. Be like Jesus, this my song, in the home and in the throng. Be like Jesus all day long. I would be like Jesus. He has broken every fetter. I would be like Jesus, that my soul may serve him better. I would be like Jesus. Be like Jesus, this my song, in the home and in the throng. Be like Jesus all day long. I would be like Jesus. All the way from earth to glory, I would be like Jesus, telling all and all the story. I would be like Jesus. Be like Jesus, this my song, in the home and in the throng. Be like Jesus all day long. I would be like Jesus, that in heaven he may meet me. I would be like Jesus, that his words well done may greet me. I would be like Jesus. Be like Jesus, this my song, in the home and in the throng. Be like Jesus all day long. I would be like Jesus.
Amen.
Amen. I would be like Jesus. Who wouldn't want to be like Jesus? That calm and loving person